Good morning, Pokemon trainers. We're here at the very last Los Angeles Midseason Showdown. Right next to me is
Support Pikachu and Regina. Hi guys, what's up?
And we're gonna start off round one of the Los Angeles Midseason Showdown with Riley Factura versus Brian Chavez.
Who are you?
Oh, they don't need to know who I am.
Okay, that's cool.
That's cool.
So I'm casting with a complete stranger at this point.
Exactly.
Then, I guess. That's fair.
Might as well be.
But yeah, like you said, so Riley versus Brian. Obviously, two people that we know and two people who continually get paired up at every single one of these events. I don't even know what the record is against each other at this point.
Nope. I think it's pretty even.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, Riley, of course, being a three-time regional champion, very, very strong opponent to be facing round one. But Brian, you know, it's a very good, he's a very strong player. You know, I played him a bunch of times in our locals. I played him at some regionals. Just a great plays from him, so I'm expecting a really good game overall.
I'm expecting 3 games, so we'll see what happens.
Miguel.
Okay, well, so I mean, they're having some issues connecting with each other, so in the meantime, I'm super happy because I have a new best friend, and I love this thing so much. But obviously, there's a couple people here, I think, who are trying to get as many points as they can before next week's Tijuana Midseason Showdown in PC. And obviously Riley is one of those people. But we've got their teams on screen for you guys now. So on your left side, you've got Brian with Charizard, Cresselia, Landorus, Theron, Amoonguss, Tapu Fini, and Incineroar. And on your right, Riley with the Tapu Koko, Landorus, Theron, Charizard, Cresselia, Snorlax, and Incineroar. Yeah,
very similar teams here. The only difference between the two is the Tapu Fini, Amoonguss, and the Snorlax and Tapu Koko. So it's gonna be interesting to see like how these teams are trained differently, if they have different moves, different items. But overall, very, very similar teams, you know, but depending how these trainers choose to train their Pokemon or what items they want on their Pokemon, they have greatly changed the matchup.
What was really fun is, I wasn't aware of this, but Tapu Koko and Cresselia has been kind of more popular pairing lately because of Electric Seed. I have no idea why, and I think it's really funny. So seeing that on Riley's team, I'm hoping for something like that.
No, yeah, it's a really strong combo because, you know, Cresselia, since Incineroar got intimidated, you know, became one of the best Pokemon to be used in the format, and one of the most used moves in Incineroar's knockoff. So if you can switch into Tapu Koko and get the Electric Seed boost, not only knockoff does less damage because there's no item to drop, but also you get the defense boost, so it makes Cresselia much stronger against something like Incineroar.
Well, we'll see exactly what they brought to the table in this first game of round one here at the Los Angeles Midseason Showdown. Our last one of the season, and it feels so weird to say that now.
I know.
Oh my gosh, it's been a year.
Time flies when you're having fun. Or getting hacked, whichever you prefer.
I've had fun. I've been behind the mic for most of these, so I've enjoyed watching this. But we've got the Landorus and the Tapu Fini lead from Brian, as Riley is going to be going for his with a Charizard Tapu Koko. So 2 Tapus on the field and 2 partial flying types, but the Intimidate from Brian's side of the field not going to do much against either of Riley's Pokemon really, unless that's not a Charizard Y. So.
It could be a Charizard X, but you know, since you see Incineroar and Riley's team, it's very likely that he wants that Sun Boost to help Incineroar be able to do more damage with Flare Blitz. We did see that Intimidate did not go first, instead Electric Terrain went first with Tapu Koko, so more than likely this Landorus is not a
choice scarf?
It's not a choice scarf. It could be something like a Z move, or it can even be a Assault Vest, but judging by the HP, it might not be that.
Alright, and Riley not going to want to take anything from that Incineroar as he switches out that Tapu Koko, brings him the Snorlax. So but now we do.
A very good nickname.
We do have the reveal that Charizard is a Charizard Y, so we're going to be bringing in that Sun. Like you said, possibly supporting that Incineroar that might be in the back there. So 5 turns of Sun now. That Tapu Fini is going to be doing a lot less damage with any Water-type moves than it already could. But a Protect from that Charizard, not going to take any Rock Slide damage either from that Landorus, which is what Brian goes for exactly. So no knockout onto this Charizard, but does get the Snorlax on the switch in, not doing a lot of damage regardless. But Tapu Fini now free to go for the Calm Mind.
Yeah, the Calm Mind is a really good play from Brian because now Tapu Fini is able to do a little bit more damage with Moonblast or Muddy Water, but also take less damage from something like a Solar Beam from Charizard. So a very good read from Brian, knowing that Riley would not try and risk the Earthquake from Landorus and going for that Calm Mind. It does help Tapu Fini be able to dish out a little bit more damage.
I mean, especially like in the sun too. You've got kind of that negation on there.
Yeah.
But I think Brian's in like a pretty nice spot because that Charizard's already protected. So Riley's gonna have to really figure out. I think like understanding his speed as well, because like you said, if that Intimidate had gone after the Electric Terrain, then you know, he has a chance to go after it. But does switch out, brings in that Incineroar that you had been talking about. So we do have an Intimidate onto Brian's Landorus importantly, and gets that boost for any Flare Blitz later on. Still has also Fake Out Pressure, but Landorus now going for that Rock Slide on Brian's side. Not going to get that Charizard. Still does a good amount of damage into that Incineroar, and is slowly chipping down that.
Ooh, another Calm Mind. Very ballsy from Brian. Of course, he wasn't really being threatened too much there, so he was free to go for that Calm Mind. But now that Snorlax is free to go for nothing because he got flinched, but it could have gone for something like Belly Drum, which would have been very useful for Riley there. So very unfortunate that that happened, but you know, it's Pokemon.
Yeah, but like you said, Brian's in a really good spot. That was, I think people going for 2 Calm Minds in a row, I'm like, that's really risky and scary, but he was in a really good spot to be able to do that. That Charizard didn't really have much of a choice. It was either you go after the Tapu Fini or you lose it to the Rock Slide. And I think Brian kind of just making the most out of that Landorus and that Tapu Fini lead. Like, even though Riley had the ability to kind of like switch out for that Incineroar, so now he's going for that Fake Out into the Landorus spot, so not going to let it move this turn, but Tapu Fini going for a
another Calm Mind. Wow, Brian is living on the edge. He built his house on a cliff, and it's just Calm Minding left and right here. Now that Belly Drum from Snorlax can't be stopped because no flinches this time. So Brian might have gotten a little bit too greedy here because, you know, even though that Fini is going to be doing a lot of damage, Snorlax does have a lot of special defense, so it could still probably take a Moonblast. But if this Landorus is a Z-move Landorus, then maybe Riley has another plan for the situation here.
I mean, 3 Calm Minds in a row. I mean, I guess Brian knows is as calm as that Tapu Fini is at this point. Like you said, that special attack is going to be really nice for it, but against the Snorlax, which Riley Snorlaxes tend to run really well without any sort of like tricking support. I think this is the first time we've seen a Belly Drum variant from him though, so a little bit of a change on that side. But that Landorus hasn't switched out. It is a -1 attack, and you know, I think Brian might be in a position where he might want to switch it out for later on, but brings back brings back the Tapu Koko, so going to overwrite that terrain on there. So the Tapu Koko for the next subsequent turns is going to be able to get a boost from that electric terrain, but a Protect from Snorlax, so no damage on this turn after maximizing attack, not in a really good position yet to go after it, and is going to be taking a Z move from that Landorus. Yeah,
the Landorus is at -1 attack, so you know, through Protect is not going to do a lot unless it gets an unfortunate crit here. So Riley put himself in a decent spot here. Of course, Tapu Fini still at +3, so that Koko, you know, even if it goes for a Z move onto Fini, I'm not sure if he'll be able to knock it out. So, you know, if Brian goes for another Calm Mind, that would be just insane. But let's see what he goes. Oh my god!
That is absolutely ridiculous. I'm actually a little bit nervous now for Tapu Fini. That is kind of crazy.
That Tapu Fini has reached a level of calm that I will never know because
he's Tapu Fini.
Yeah. But 4 Calm Minds in a row, that's insane. That takes a lot of guts to make that. I still think it's a little bit greedy to go for something like that, but you know, Riley wasn't able to punish it too well. But now that +4 Fini is going to be dealing a lot of damage to whoever it feels like attacking.
Yeah, so, I mean, Riley's just trying to go for the Intimidates right now with that Incineroar, but Landorus is just, that Landorus has stayed, it's at -2, it's going to be at -3, and it's not going to be able to knock out that Snorlax because of that, but this Tapu Fini is going to be able to just kind of pick up whatever it wants. No more Calm Minds because that +4?
Yep, +4.
Yeah, that's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, so that's really scary for Riley now because he lost his mains of offense to really take down this Tapu Fini. I mean, Incineroar really can't touch Tapu Fini, especially because of the +4. Tapu Koko can potentially, you know, gets a crit, but with Landorus there, just protecting it with potential earthquakes.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's got that Charizard. So now you've got Charizard, you got the Fake Out Pressure from Incineroar on the field, you have the Sun back after the Sun just left. So even though you've got this +4 special defense Tapu Fini, now you can kind of like Fake Out Solar Beam, or Ryan hasn't shown Protect, he's shown literally 2 moves.
Yep. That Fini is very calm and is very Moonblasty, but I just don't know how Riley can win from here because like 2 of his Pokemon are special attackers, and well, the other Pokemon is a physical attacker, but really doesn't do that much to Fini. Fini here could easily go for Muddy Water and get a knockout, probably on both Pokemon really. So Riley has to hope for a crit here with Solar Beam or something like that in order to keep himself in the game.
But Brian, yeah, finally going to switch out that Landorus, going to go for his own Incineroar that he had in the back, going to intimidate Riley's Incineroar and his Charizard. But again, Charizard-wise, I almost called it an X. Shoot. Not really physical attackers, but Tapu Fini finally showing that Protect, and it is not going to be taking any damage. Doesn't take a fake out from the Incineroar on that side too, but Solar Beam also not going to be connecting if it goes into that spot. Oof, that is...
Yeah, that is rough for Riley because, like, now the Incineroar is going to go for fake out onto Charizard. Most Incineroars don't carry Protect, so that Fini could go for something like Muddy Water. And at +4, even in Sun, I don't think that Incineroar can take it, unless it's an AV set. But even then, it's just such, +4 is +4.
Yeah, and then Brian also has the option to just kind of go for his own fake out, too.
Yeah. So I think Riley might be cornered here. Losing that Snorlax so easily was not, it did not help. But I don't think Riley, like any of us, predicted that Brian would go so ballsy to go for four Calm Minds in a row. So here comes Muddy Water. It is known to miss, not this time though. So it is going to.
That's your Tapu Fini.
Yeah, I know. So Incineroar is going to be knocked out here pretty easily, I would say. And now it's Charizard and Coco versus a +4 Tapu Fini.
This Tapu Fini is taking no damage whatsoever.
No, I don't think Riley has done any damage other than fake out so far. So. Again, it's not looking good for Riley here. I think if you're him right now, you're probably thinking about like what to do in Game 2.
You go after that Tapu Fini in Game 2 is what you do. And I think if you're Brian, you'll be like, okay, well, hey, he let my Tapu Fini set up, and if he sees it as more of a threat, then you adjust that way. And now you're going to Game 2, you have more of a mind game than you ever did. And I think part of the issue is that when you see Tapu Koko versus Tapu Fini, you're like, oh, my Tapu Koko can go after this Tapu Fini, but double protects from the Tapus on the field. As a Heat Wave from Riley's Charizard is going to connect only with that with the Incineroar. Does like no damage at all, but Incineroar going for the Flare Blitz into the protected Tapu Koko slot. So a little bit of like an okay, a little bit of okay damage exchange here, but Riley does lose the electric terrain, which is going to be big for that Tapu Koko, especially if that is now his only check against that Tapu Koko.
Yeah, if Riley can win this game, he is beyond, like he's winning Worlds too, but he is going to go for the forfeit. I really didn't think that it was physically possible for him to win that game. Of course, this is a best of 3, so Riley can adjust. He has done it before.
Yeah, well, I think what the nice thing is too is we didn't see, all Riley really did in that game was do a lot of switching out. So at least he kept some of his information protected, whereas Brian had like, I don't think we saw Brian's last Pokemon though, which was probably the other big thing. That was a stressful game one on either side.
Well, not for that Fini. That Fini was very calm.
Oh, yeah, fair.
But, it's... I think Riley can, like, maybe he's like, okay, this guy's playing very, very aggressive. He's making, like, very ballsy plays. I can go for something a little bit more, less defensive, and maybe go a little bit more aggressive to punish these plays. And that could be a play that Riley can do that will help him set up for a potential win here. Looking at these teams, again, they're so similar in so many ways. The only difference is being the Fini and Amoonguss and the Snorlax and Tapu Koko. So, there's a lot of similarities here. But the Koko does check Fini well, checks out Fini pretty well. And then, Landorus and Incineroar being able to double intimidate the opposing Landorus can be really useful, especially if Riley has to be able to take something like a Rock Slide.
Well, I think Riley has the potential to pick up a game too. I think the only issue is when you don't have a lot of ways to support Snorlax in a way where it can attack as soon as it sets up, then you're setting yourself in a way where it can get attacked and get taken down. And I think that problem there is that Brian was able to read exactly what Riley had to do in those moments. He was in positions where he was like, oh, I can just press Calm Mind because Riley, like, this is not the biggest threat for Riley on here because he thinks that Tapu Koko is going to be able to take care of this. But I mean, to be able to stare your opponent in the face and be like, I'm going to keep this Tapu Fini here and click Calm Mind until I want to Moonblast that Snorlax, like...
Yeah, that was insane. One thing I would like to see maybe from Riley, maybe he can go for like the Trick Room mode and set up Snorlax. That way, no matter how many times Fini sets up, it's just going to get demolished by a Belly Drum Snorlax.
But you've also got the Amoonguss on Brian's side, so
True.
If Brian can think of that. I think that's... and I think... Okay,
so we're going to go into Game 2 here. I want to see how Riley is going to adjust here. Of course, I think he has the tools to be able to adjust this.
I think it's just like also a matter of how exactly going to change. And Brian actually also has a change where he's got that Incineroar and that Cresselia on the field. Now we've also got a Cresselia and the Snorlax. So both of them really thinking of a Trick Room mode here. And this is the fun part. When do you press Trick Room, and who's going to reverse it, and who's going to set it up?
Yeah, that's a very good question here. I mean, The problem here being that like Snorlax can't really set up right now because that Incineroar could potentially go for a knockoff and just knock off the berry. But at the same time, it's a little bit like, you know, what is the trick?
Sorry, I just saw that.
So let's see how the situation goes here. And Intimidate going into Bryson and Incineroar, so it's not going to do as much damage. Cresselia also going to switch out for Brian here, so both Cresselias being switched out here. Charizard coming in for Brian, so
yeah. So I think Riley had that idea where you know, if you're playing kind of like the Trick Room game and then the whole knockoff thing, at least if one of you sets up Trick Room, then that's fine if he gets his out. But now you know, Brian's burned that fake out ability, and Riley has a potential now to do the fake out, and I think Riley is in the spot where he's more aware, of how aggressive he needs to be against Brian's team. Obviously, Brian's bringing a different team here, and I think that Snorlax is going to be Riley's biggest like linchpin for this, is that he needs to get that set up, he needs to be able to deal damage, but he needs to watch out for that Cresselia on Brian's side too, because if that Cresselia and his Cresselia can trade off Trick Rooms, then Riley's going to be in the spot where you're playing a lot of mind games super early in the game, and that's going to be really tough.
Yeah, I think Brian put himself in a really good spot here because the Charizard has to be not. I mean, he could fake out the opposing Incineroar, but that Charizard could potentially go for something like Overheat, which does a lot of damage to Snorlax. Even though Snorlax is especially bulky Pokemon, but you know, but the board position here definitely favors Brian. But of course, we still don't know what Riley has in the back. He could have the Tapu Koko. that Tapu Koko in the back that could be really useful.
Sorry.
That's Alberto, if you guys can't hear him. So.
Yeah, Alberto Lara, number 2 in the ladder right now, you know, asking for a pen.
Be prepared, guys. So Brian going to be going for the Mega Evolution with his own Charizard Y variant, so he's bringing the sun this time as opposed to Riley. Going to be boosting both the Incineroars on the field though, but like again, Riley still has the ability for that fake out pressure, so kind of has a choice to go after whatever he wants here, and going to be going instead for that Incineroar on Brian's side of the field, but Charizard on Brian, but Charizard is going to be connecting that Healy with both Pokemon, going to do a lot of damage, and no burns though, thank goodness for if you're Riley. Doesn't set up the Snorlax, but goes for the return, doubles down the Incineroar, does not quite get it to halfway though, but does at least get damage output this turn.
Yeah, I mean, I can see what Riley was going for here. He did not want to take so much damage that like Belly Drum would not go off, and even if it did, Snorlax would still get just knocked out. So it's definitely a play I can see why he went for it. At the same time, like Snorlax is not set up yet. It's taking quite a bit of damage, and you know, a Heat Wave plus an Overheat from Charizard could potentially knock it off if Brian does have it. Incineroar also. Incineroar from Brian is intimidated, but nothing's going to happen because Snorlax is going to go for Protect.
Yeah, so another Protect from the Snorlax, as like you said, that Overheat from the Charizard goes into that Snorlax spot, and a knockoff also goes actually into the Incineroar on Riley's side. Is going to be showing that that berry variant of the Incineroar, as the low kick from Riley's own Incineroar is going to be able to pick. Oh, not quite pick up the knockout on Brian's side.
Yeah, no berry procking from Brian's side. That usually means that either the Incineroar is an Assault Vest variant, or it would be the Z move, which is the less common of the two.
So it also says probably going to be the Assault.
Yeah.
Actually, okay, wait. If we have a Z move from this Incineroar, that would be so exciting. I think that'd be hilarious. The Darkest Lariat one,
yeah.
That would be so fantastic. But I mean, obviously, we're gonna go with the logical answer here and probably go with this.
I would say it's Assault Vest based off of the amount of health that Incineroar has. So right now, Riley is still in a
bad position.
He is, because like he has to bring in something like his own Charizard. His own Charizard. That's not. I mean, it's gonna take the Overheat decent well, but it's still gonna take a massive amount of damage.
Especially non-Mega Form like that.
Yeah,
that's
a lot of damage
right there. I mean, you know, at least now like the special attack drop on Brian's side is gonna be there, but that's a lot of damage to take off switch.
Wow, that's also a lot of damage. All right. So a lot of damage being dealt both ways here. A knockoff going into the Charizard. The Intimidate from the Incineroar does pay dividends right now. We also see that both Incineroars are speed timed right now, which could be coming into play. Because if Riley is able to move before Brian's Incineroar, you know, he can be able to potentially get 2 knockouts here.
Wasn't that fun, a speed tie deciding this next turn?
Oh yeah, we all have speed ties. That's what Pokemon's all about.
I mean, okay, so here's the hard part. If you're Riley, like, yeah, you want to protect that Snorlax, but you caught so much damage on the switch in, and like, yeah, you can Mega Evolve now and like, you know, hope that you can go for Protect or like go for for more damage, but all 4 Pokemon on this field right now are in like almost the same HP ranges on opposite Pokemon, which I'm always all about that. I think it's like really interesting to notice. But you know, Charizard on Brian's side is going to be going for Protect, so doesn't want to like lose that sort of speed tie, as that Heat Wave from Riley's Charizard is going to pick up that knockout on the Incineroar. So Riley's Incineroar not going to be doing anything, but I think being able to knock out something that can knock off items on your own side, especially when you have a Snorlax that's not yet set up, is going to be big for Riley. And if he can capitalize on that like right away, then he's going to be in a much better spot in this game.
Well, Brian is, as I was going to say, he is in a spot now that he can bring that Landorus, and he's going to be pretty threatening to both Pokemon. Of course, Riley can switch into the Cresselia, which does take Rock Slides decently well. And Brian's Charizard is at -2 special attack, which, you know, now it's not able to do as much damage. So Riley, you know, might have to do some switching here. He will probably have to sacrifice at least one of his Pokemon to be able to forward position himself into a better spot here.
Well, at least he knows also that Brian's Landorus is a ground Z variant, so at least he can figure out as much as he can about his own Pokemon speed versus Brian's Pokemon right now. So we still got, like you said, that Cresselia in the back, and you know, hasn't really done anything since it's switched out. But I think Cresselia is also like a really smart option. If it comes down to it, though, I think Riley should protect that Incineroar, because then if it comes down to just the Cresselia on Brian's side, he can go for the knockoff on it and get and hurt it a lot more and knock off that that berry for it, or see if it might be like a double Z team and you're bringing both. Just because I think that's something that was really difficult. Is Cresselia is a traditionally bulky Pokemon, and being able to knock off things for it and being able to say, oh, you can't recover anything here.
Well, we're gonna see. I still think Riley's probably gonna switch in. Okay, one of his Pokemon into Cresselia. Nope, into the Landorus.
Oh, that's Snorlax. Yikes.
Yep. So Landorus will we could end double switch out. So that makes a lot of sense. However, if Brian's able to make the read and Z moves into the Snorlax slot, that could be really bad for Riley right now. Heat Wave coming out from the Charizard, not doing that much damage, proccing the berry for the Snorlax. Let's see if Landorus goes for a Z move here. No, Rock Slide, gonna connect with both Pokemon since both of them switched in. No flinches this turn. So let's see what happens next. But a crit, those are fun too.
Yeah, but like no more Sun, so that Heat Wave not gonna be doing as much damage. The scary part, I think, every time you see that Heat Wave is looking for that burn animation, and getting that on a Snorlax especially is gonna be super tough. But I think double switch from Riley was also a really good choice. It really helped protect both those Pokemon. He has the ability to bring back that Sun on his own terms if he wants, after getting rid of this Charizard. We know that Brian has that Cresselia in the back, so Riley could, you know, take a turn or two if he wants to, either like go for the Cycle, go for the Trick Room setup, and kind of figure out his choices at this moment. Cresselia and Snorlax next to each other is a very stressful combination at times if you don't have anything to really deal with them.
It's not, but I think Riley here could freely set up Trick Room. I don't think Riley's going to want to leave Snorlax in there. I mean, he could go for Protect like he just did and try and set up Trick Room and then try to just start getting knockouts. Overheat coming from the Charizard into that Cresselia. Not going to do that much damage since it's at -2 already, and there's no more Sun, so now it's a -4. Rock Slide coming out into these, connecting with Cresselia. Maybe can get a flinch.
Rock Slide, there's a way.
Yep, there's always a way when there's a Rock Slide. Cresselia is going to proc the berry.
Now it's going to be super important to see what this Cresselia is going to do, and if it flinches on this turn. Oh,
Trick Room being set up here, so definitely Riley is setting up to a big sweep with Snorlax and Cresselia right now, especially since now there's no threat of damage coming from Brian Chavez.
And I think this is the spot that Riley wanted to be in. At least he's now able to kind of go for damage on here. Cresselia, if it has Icy Wind or Ice Beam, is going to be doing a lot of damage to that Landorus, especially too. Hopefully it's an Ice Beam variant, because you don't want to slow down your opponent when you set up Trick Room.
Yep.
That Charizard, like you said, it's not going to be that much of a threat. Like, Brian's going to have to make a choice here. He either lets that sit there and not do as much damage as it could, or he switches it out for his own Cresselia. And I think if you're Riley, you're going to figure out what that Charizard's going to be doing at that point, because you can capitalize on it. So Brian's going to be resetting that -4 special attack drop and going for that Cresselia on his side. Going to be staring down Riley's own Cresselia as...
Ooh, Riley is using the forbidden move and using the ally switch.
Is it forbidden if it's in the game?
Well, it's forbidden for me. Like, Riley going for the Z move. Let's see if Brian is able to make this read, then he will be pulling an Alberto right now. And
yeah, so I think this is super important. If Brian calls that, it's
No, it's right now.
It's definitely going to be something there.
Oh my God!
Holy crackers!
Brian pulling Alberto Lara and predicting the ally switch and Z moving into the Snorlax, which does pick up the knockout. Very, very good.
Oh my God.
That was very impressive from Brian.
Yikes.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. Somewhere
in this very, very park, Alberto is very proud. He just witnessed his miraculous move from Brazil happening right here. It's whenever you can get a read like that and you're willing to make that risky play, it's always impressive.
That was ridiculous. Oh man, that is a blow though if you're Riley, because that Snorlax and that Trick Room was gonna be your win condition basically for this game, and I don't. He's got that Charizard in the back, who's in the red right now, and is not going to be able to do anything against whatever is on Brian's side. He's got Pokemon that are in the full, and yeah, Cresselia is usually a support Pokemon, but there's nothing much you can do right now at this point against it.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, Riley is still like in a decent spot because of the knockoff. Oh, what?
Wait, what is that?
It's the resist dark berry, which I don't know what the name is actually. It's the Colbur berry. And Icy Wind coming from this Cresselia. So it's going to slow down the Cresselia, which I'm assuming is going to probably going to reverse Trick Room here in order to make Landorus a little bit more useful.
Yeah, and this is what we were talking about in the beginning too, where you've got kind of like that Cresselia sort of mirror where you're trying to guess Trick Rooms and you're trying to figure this stuff out. Mentally, if I'm Riley, I'm like, what do I do from here? Because I think losing that ally switch and then losing that sort of like ability to be like, okay, my Snorlax I can set up now, and not being able to capitalize on it is hard. But helping hand from this Cresselia into that Landorus. Landorus going for the rock slide.
Ooh,
but
missing the
important Pokemon on that field. Does not do any damage at all to that Cresselia, but the double connect from Riley's side, it might be able to pick up a knockout onto this Landorus, potentially.
I think Riley's still in a very good spot here because Icy Wind is still going to do a massive amount of damage to this Landorus. If the Flare Blitz connects, which is going to, because there's no reason it wouldn't, it's going to pick up a KO into this Landorus probably as well. And now Brian has only 2 Pokemon against Riley's 3. One of them being, I believe it's Charizard. He still has.
Charizard's in the red though. It took a lot of damage on that first switch in, and I mean, I think Riley has this ability now to just kind of go for like some speed control here. Brian's Charizard though is now at full special attack again. It has the sun. It has no minuses to its special attack. It can go for overheat whenever it wants now.
Yeah, but it has to, like, Cresselia can't really touch the Incineroar, so he has to get rid of this Incineroar because otherwise Cresselia is not going to be able to win this.
Helping a Heat Wave is actually enough to pick up a double knockout.
Oh, that's a critical hit onto, that is very unfortunate.
Yeah, Ryan's been getting the bad RNG on the side today. And
wait, that's the game?
No, he's got the one Charizard in the back that's in the red.
Oh, right. So that's a very unfortunate crit.
Barring like 17 misses.
Yeah, that's, oh man, Riley. Let's see what the chat's saying.
Like, that's just.
There's no way Riley can win because he can only knock out 1 Pokemon at a time. So Brian has to like pretty much miss a bunch of moves, and
that
Riley
helping hand is, oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was very unfortunate for Riley. losing Brown 1, but he's a strong player. He knows that he can still overcome something like this. And. Even though he had some unfortunate RNG, he did play really well. I think he played a little bit too risky with that ally switch. I think he could have maybe gotten a knockout onto the Landorus instead. Heat Wave going in from the Charizard. I doubt that would be able to pick up a KO onto this Cresselia. Cresselia can probably go for an Icy Wind here. And now Charizard's probably either going to be knocked out or it's going to be slower than the opposing Charizard. So this game is,
yeah, that's going to
and a critical hit.
No. That one mattered.
To add salt to injury. One last
hit
crit.
Mattered, guys.
One last crit.
That is rough. But it's the first round, and you can always come back from that and still do super well. And like, Riley's not a bad player. He's a very strong player, and he can come back from this. It just so happens that he and Brian got paired up so early, and it's so, like, when we saw that on the list, it was like, oh, this again. Like, it happens so often, and
it was still a very fun match to watch, especially that ally switch call. It was
that was
very, very impressive.
And
I think if you're Brian, you'd be very happy that you made that play.
He definitely popped off. I don't know if you saw it.
I heard it. So props to him. He played very, very well.
Yeah. I mean, he played really aggressively, I think, too. Or like he did it in a way where he was really able to figure out what Riley had to do and capitalize on that. Like, I still think, like, game 1, that Tapu Fini was the MVP of that game. Like, that was absolutely ridiculous.
It's surprising because we didn't even see a game 2.
No, and I think that made sense because game 2 we were talking about how we wanted to see trick rooms from them and figure out all that stuff. And I mean, not having to bring that Tapu Fini, but understanding, hey, Riley's only option now is to go for the trick room, and let me figure out how I'm going to check that. And having the trick room like doubles is also super stressful, but I think Brian played that to the best of his abilities, and I think he edged out Riley slightly. I mean, yeah, he got a lot of critical hits and stuff, but Riley also got some dodges and he got some misses.
Yeah.
So I think
he had to restrain because this was flying backwards.
In that position, like I think Brian just had the edge only a little bit on that moment. But we'll see you guys for round 2, I guess. So don't go anywhere. We'll probably have food at some point on the stream because I'm getting hungry.